Hello, my name is Sierra or Zobi Online. I'm a freelance esports commentator. You might know me. I worked the EG Back to School Bash. I think you appeared on that as like a little guest. But I just kind of wanted to kind of get where your head's at, where the team's dynamic is at before the kickoff obviously starts in a little less than a week. But first, let's focus on you a little bit because obviously it was re-announced that you were joining. You talked about how like your journey was last year, and I wanted to get that kind of compared to where you're at now. You talked about how last year it was kind of like out of the blue. It was a new adventure, figuring out coaching for the first time. So now that your rookie year is over, and now it's kind of like, what do I expect versus knowing what to expect? What are your kind of focuses, and how are you feeling coming into this season?
Yeah, I think this season it's nice to kind of have an expectation of like what I'm gonna have to do.
Mhm.
Last year that was probably like one of the hardest parts is just like learning trial by fire, right? Like learning as you go. This year it's like a little bit more structured, and I kind of know roughly like what types of things I'll be doing, like where I'll be focusing. And I think we have a really good system this year for like just utilizing like my time really well. So like I'm happy to see that um, you know, big difference between like last year and this year is like it feels like I know exactly like where to spend time and like how to manage that a little bit better, which is really good. And I think with this year, like the team itself, I mean, everything looks really good. We've been practicing really well. We've been practicing really hard. We didn't have like a terribly long off season comparatively to other teams,
Mhm.
so I think that was really good for us. We had some hiccups, like we've had some move-in delays and some other,
Oh.
random things that have caused some difficulties, but I mean, we've had a pretty good practice schedule, and I'm happy with how hard we've been going.
Great, and that's a perfect segue into my next question as well, which was to talk about the off season for you guys and maybe where that time was spent. Since you did start off kind of like competing in that Sun City Classic event with at least the four that you went with. Obviously now Sim leaving, Icy coming in. So then, like, was that just focused on hard prac aside from the holidays, or how did that just overall go for you guys? Since we didn't get to see you after that at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, so we took a small break after Sin City. Potter was over doing GTC for a little bit,
Yeah.
and then we just kind of resumed, and we've been going same pace ever since. Just a little reset after Sin City. There wasn't a whole lot going on afterwards. It was a lot of traveling, and we felt like, especially because we hadn't like fully been ready to move into LA, we didn't want to make it a situation where it was, we were traveling and then had to move everybody into LA and cause all that stress. It was better for us to just, focus on practice. We practiced ever since. Pretty hard schedule other than like I think we had a couple of days off because somebody had like a, off season vacation for like a couple of days. But other than that, I mean, we've been going pretty much nonstop since the end of Sun City. Up until now, and even like over Christmas, we took a little bit of a Christmas break. Obviously, gave everybody the little break. But other than moving into, it's been very hectic. We've tried to like minimize all the downtime because there's just a lot going on. But got a lot of good reps in, to be honest.
It's great to hear. And I think I wanted to ask then next is kind of like you talked about how like everything's looking good for this team, and I feel like this season it's a little bit different of a dynamic. Obviously, the first season for EG where they actually had their like early first season, like when they got their world championship, it was just kind of like Potter bringing up a bunch of newer names, making them into world champions. Last season, Potter said it was kind of like a team built around and uplifting Jawgemo, and now Jawgemo's left. And now I just wanted to like ask you, what do you think the dynamic is of this season? Right, like it's a lot of returning faces, whether it's Icy from the reserve roster or then Yay, who everyone is like, how did they even get them on EG? So, what do you think is the dynamic coming into this season for the whole squad?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily know that we think too much about like
Mhm.
who we've put where. I think the thing about the team is that we've got five solid, um, good fitting puzzle pieces. We've got
Yeah.
a lot of firepower. We've got a lot of good mid rounding and early round IGLing dynamics between the team. With nature and with the way that the team naturally is able to work together. And just the roles this year feel really good because everybody feels like they're in a comfortable position. So I think that's what's pretty good for us. I don't think the typical oh, we're a new team, we have role issues really
Yeah.
applies to us. So I think that's like a what bodes well for us, and that's why I'm really excited to see what we can do this year.
Amazing. And speaking of this year and the kickoff event, your first match obviously is going to be up against Loud, which is, I don't want to change too drastically. They still have like 3 out of the 5 players, but obviously they lost less than Sodic, so probably an IGL shift and calling difference. So, how have you been going to try and prepare for that match in particular?
Yeah, I think when you look at Loud, especially like losing a player like Les is
Mhm.
probably the way that from the outside people like view us losing Jaw.
Mhm.
Obviously a world class player, won a world championship, absolutely, talented in so many regards, right? So when people from the outside look at it and they think like, how are they going to change what they do, or how are they going to look afterwards? I think it's the same way that people look at us when we lose John. We know we're confident. With the new roster, we know that the moves we've made make sense. We know that we're confident in the way that we play. So I'm sure they will be too. The thing is, we probably expect that they might not play the same way. Sadhawk being gone,
Mhm.
hard to tell what to expect necessarily, but just going to prepare like we would any other match.
Amazing. I think those are the like big like meaty questions I had, especially since I wanted to make sure I respected the time of the VCT Americas press. So I have like some shorter, funnier questions. First off, obviously Teho just came out. What are your thoughts so far on the agent? And obviously can't leak comps, but any thoughts for including them in the EG lineup in the future?
I think he's a fun agent. Last night I played the 100 Thieves trio queue. It was
Oh,
Coach Six with Cryo and Xander, and I three killed them with the artillery, so that was pretty cool. In a ranked game, so that was pretty dope. No, I think it's he's a really fun character. I think he adds a cool dynamic because he's kind of like this iPad character, but
yeah.
also he feels like more active than a typical iPad character. So that's actually a really cool part of of his kit. I think it's just very interesting that Riot's added an agent that kind of feels more interactive than Brim, but like also keeps that aspect of like I'm on the iPad doing iPad things. So I think it's a cool character.
Cool. And then I see we get to see the new EG jersey during the interview. What do you think of it?
I didn't expect to have a caller, to
I
be
was about to
honest. I didn't expect
say.
didn't expect the collar. It actually feels better than I thought it would. When I saw the collar, I got scared. But it actually feels pretty good. I like the new jerseys. I think the new slash old logo that we've got. I'm actually a big fan of this one compared to the rebrand logo that we
Mhm.
had for like the first part of last year. So I'm glad we stuck with this logo. I really like the older like 25th anniversary logo was what we called it last year, but this year it's more or less just the new logo, which I like it more. It's like historied, storied, whatever you want to call it. I like that part about the EG organization.
Amazing. And then still on the topic of EG and branding, what do you think of the EG Classic and then also the new little mascot Mish?
I think Mish is probably the best thing that we've branded in the last 3, 4, 5, 10 years. I think Mish is super cool. I'm actually really excited that we got to release it. I think that as Mish gets to evolve in some of our media, I think there'll be a lot of cool things that we get to do with them. So that'll be very fun. And I think the classic this year, I mean, personally, I mean, I just think it's a little better than last year. And I mean, if you think about it, they're exclusive. So I mean, you should probably grab it before it goes out of the shop. I mean, I'm just saying.
How to give you the space to advertise it? Yeah, I think yours definitely works. I was like analyzing all of them during like the creator early access event, and like the color balance was pretty good compared to some of the bundles. So definitely agree. But yeah, that's all I had. So thank you again for your time, especially since I know like you weren't originally listed to do interviews, so I appreciate getting the chance to talk with you because I think it is cool perspective of you being a new assistant coach coming back for a second season. But yeah, good luck on kickoff, and I hope to see you in the future.
Of course, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Bye bye.